Hello, fellow residents of Tamriel. It is the Beeve welcoming you back once again for another build video. This one is for a Stamina Nightblade. I have been... The common thread that you're going to find with most Stam builds that are high-end builds looking for the most amount of damage are always going to consist of Reliquins and Locistes, or the perfected versions of those two gears. And that's what you're going to see everywhere, plain and simple. You've seen it from me. So that gets a little bit frustrating because on the Mage side, there are 5, maybe even 6 different gear sets available in the game that all produce very good damage outputs when mixed and matched together, when the Stam tunes don't seem to get as much variety, at least on YouTube. So I am trying to build up some different characters, put some different types of gear on them that you're not used to seeing, and testing out builds on them to see how they perform for the most part. And I've come up with this one right here. I like to refer to this build as my critical warrior. When we just go into the particulars here immediately, I am using Leviathan. This is a medium armor set that is found in Crypt of Hearts. The set itself is a maximum stamina, weapon crit, and a boatload of weapon crit. And the other set that I am using is Advancing Yukita, which is the Berserking Warrior set found in any of the Craglorn trials, which provides weapon crit, weapon damage, weapon crit, and when you deal melee damage, your critical strike rating is increased by 400 for 6 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. This effect can occur once every half second. So, think you can see what I'm getting at when I refer to this as Critical Warrior. The critical output on this particular tune is crazy good. It really is. Now, when we do parses, you're going to see this doesn't hit as hard as Reliquins. It doesn't hit as hard as Locistes with Reliquins. It really doesn't. But to me, both of these sets are a little bit easier to get. The Advancing Yukita is a heavy armor set that is in those Craglorn trials that we just mentioned. The best way for this to work is you are going to need jewelry and weapons. So there's already a lot of people that are still to this day trying to farm this set out of Craglorn trials, and the daggers seem to be the hot commodity for the most part. You will find people just running that constantly, trying to get those daggers, and it's not an easy drop to get. It isn't. The difference that you're going to find here is that we are two-handing rather than using daggers. So I'm not sure about how much easier the drop rate on a two-hander would be than the daggers, considering there are 3 different two-handers. Sword, I prefer the axe myself because it adds bleed damage. Any of the two-handers are going to work. I would prefer axe, honestly. But seeing how the two-handers, to me, don't seem as sought after as much as the daggers are, when somebody picks up that two-hander, if somebody gets an axe out of that trial, they're maybe going to be more likely to trade it off to somebody because it's not what they're looking for. Most people are looking for the daggers. Now, that shift could be changing in ESO sometime soon, where people get away from the dual wield and go into two-handed builds. But I could be wrong, but I think it may be a little bit easier to actually get the battle axe, the axe of Advancing Yukita, than it is going to be to find 2 daggers or a dagger and an axe, however you would normally set that up. I am using the Maelstrom bow. A lot of my rotation is centered around having three abilities on my front bar that last a long time. So I am using I'm not using Arrow Barrage, I am using Endless Hail. Endless Hail has a longer uptime, and therefore I can spend more time on that back bar, and the Maelstrom Bow is better for that because the longer that ticks, the more damage that the Maelstrom Bow provides to that Endless Hail. So it increases the damage it does by 320 for each tick, and the bonus damage is increased by 110 every time it ticks. So every time it ticks, it's going to go up by 110. So every second, that damage goes up by 110. So over the course of 14 seconds, when you're getting towards the end, it's 1,000, 1,200, 1,300, and that last tick's going to be 1,400, and 1,500 more than the original tick was going to be. So it ranks up, it revs up in damage as time goes on. So in my opinion, the Maelstrom Bow is best. I am using the Battle Axe of Advancing Yakita. I currently have it in Precise. Any type of trait you would like to use right here isn't a bad idea. Like, I'm using the Precise for the extra weapon critical. If you wanted to go with Nirnhone to increase your weapon damage, you could. If you wanted to go with Sharpened to give you a little bit more penetration, you could. Infused isn't going to work out very well because for me at least, because I have my glyph suppressed by poisons. I'm using this double dot poison, which you can make with Alkahest, Fleshfly Larva, Nirnroot, and Nightshade. This double dot poison does a boatload of damage, plain and simple, as you can see right there. 1671 for 4.5 seconds and 1085 for 6.5 seconds. So it does a lot of damage, plain and simple. It hits hard. Now, I am using Storm Fist for the stamina recovery that it does add, and it does shock damage for 3 seconds, which can imply concussed, which will improve our damage output during the concussed portion for a little bit. It increases damage a little bit, plain and simple. Then it does have a final hit that it does that's 10,720. Goes off every 8 seconds. The body pieces I'm using are all in Divines, and I have maximum stamina glyphs on all of them except for the helm. I left my visage on health just to give me a little bit more health. My jewelry is all gold. Gold doesn't really matter. It doesn't change the amount of weapon damage your glyph puts on there. If you put a Kuda glyph on a purple jewelry, you're still getting 174 weapon damage out of it. So the only thing it's going to change in this situation is it'll lower these max stats just by a tad little bit. You'll see like 126 weapon damage, 813 weapon critical, and I think only like 386 on the the critical strike rating on the 5th piece right there. But it's not a huge deal. It's really not. Plus, instead of 10% on the Bloodthirsty, you will only be getting 9%. So you'll lose 3% damage, bonus damage in execute phase. The gold jewelry of this isn't too hard to obtain either. I mean, Hellraw Citadel on Vet is completed multiple times a day because it is not that hard to do in any way, shape, or form. If you have a group that knows what they're doing and you follow mechanics, 20 to 25k DPS is all the more you need to take care of Vet Hellraw Citadel. It's not a hard trial to complete. And then you have chances to pick up gold jewelry like I have on this tune. Our character sheet, weapon damage on our bow bar is 2715 with a 53.6 weapon critical rating. You're looking at 31,000 in maximum stamina, 1,700 in stamina recovery, 15,612 in maximum health. On my back bar, maximum stamina stays the same. I'm holding an invisible sword because I'm a badass. My max health does drop because of abilities that I have slotted and some of the passives that are in the Nightblade's class lines. So that 15 to 55, like I have stated before with other tunes, other Stam tunes, if you're not comfortable running that low, you can always adjust out some points out of your stamina and put them into your health to give yourself a little bit more health. As you see here, I have 54 points in stamina, 10 points in health. On that two-hand bar, I am looking at 2852 weapon damage and a weapon critical of 65.4. I am using the Shadow Mundus Stone, and as I showed you earlier, all of my body pieces are in Divine, so I am getting 19% more critical damage done, and I'm basically only doing critical damage. It's crazy. Now, I am using Lava Foot Soup and Saltreese. This is why my health is low. This is just a max stamina recovery food. The rotation that I'm using is a lot of abilities and very long. This stamina recovery works out great. Now, there are some abilities to give you back stamina when you are a Nightblade as well. That if you wanted to throw the leeching strikes into the rotation and use it constantly, you would just be basically substituting out one ability on your back bar just to hit that, or on substituting wherever you want to put it on your bar basically. And that will provide you a good bit of recovery as well. And then you could go with maybe a gold food here that's going to provide health and stamina and recovery, like the what is the takeaway broth, Artam takeaway broth. Now that stuff is expensive, plain and simple, but you could use that in this situation and give yourself more health as well if you wanted to. Your max stamina is going to go down, your recovery is going to go down, but you could have more health, not do quite as much damage, and be able to keep your stamina up with like leeching strikes. So that is always an option. It's something you can play around with if you want to. Champion points: 37 Warlord, 2 into Sprinter, 75 Tenacity, 100 Mooncalf, 28 Shadow Ward, 28 Tumbling. These right here, you can put this green tree and even the red tree, you can put them in there how you like. This is just the template that I am using, that I like to use. Now, in the red tree, 49 Hardy, 49 Elemental Defender, 48 Thick Skinned, 72 Ironclad, 26 Spell Shield, 26 Medium Armor Focus. Some people like to not put anything in the medium armor and go more into Spell Shield. Once again, this tree is just a suggestion. If you want to put them in there differently, by all means, do what you like. Now, the blue tree for the damage output, you may want to follow kind of what I'm doing right here. I got 66 in Master at Arms because I am doing a boatload of direct damage attacks. 56 in Thaumaturge, 56 in Precise Strikes, 36 in Piercing, 56 in Mighty. Now, our skills, I gotta get rid of this invisible sword, hold on. This is driving me nuts. As you see here, I've tried this a bunch of different ways too. I got a bunch of different... I've tried with the daggers, and yeah, it's a pain. The daggers, the dual wield didn't do as much damage, plain and simple. Alright, so there. I should have... I do! Yay! I have an axe again. Alright, so on our skills, on our bow bar, we are running Endless Hail. Dark Shade. Endless Hail is out of the bowline ability, obviously. Dark Shade is an ability out of the Shadow line. Barb Trap. This is a Fighter's Guild ability, and most people would know that at this point. I do have Mark Target on here. This is mainly just slotted here just for the fact of having it slotted for the most part. Leeching Strikes, I have this here. Having these here increases my critical rating on this front bar. Leeching Strikes is a good thing to give you back your resources and heal you as well. So Leeching Strikes using Leeching Strikes in a dungeon is a wonderful idea, and it's very cheap. 790 stamina, lasts for 20 seconds. Mark Target, I basically just have this here for, I'll use it during my parse to get numbers as if a tank was in here with me. But other than that, you're not going to see me use this. This is a slot spot. You can throw something else in here if you wanted to. On my back bar, I have Relentless Focus. This is this helps you with the amount of damage you receive when you stack this, and it lasts for a minute now too, so that's really good. And then every 5 light or heavy attacks converts this ability into Assassin's Scourge, allowing you to fire a spectral arrow for half the cost that deals 15,853 damage and heals for 33% of the damage if you're within 7 meters of the enemy. So it's a heal, it's a huge damage dealer, and the only thing is you can't spam this. Wrecking Blow, on the other hand, oh, pardon me, I had to mute myself because I didn't want to sneeze in your ear. Wrecking Blow, on the other hand, is a nice spammable ability. 10,127 physical damage, plus it grants Empowered for 5 seconds, increasing the damage of your next light attack by 40%. That's pretty big right there. Executioner, we have this here just for the literally for execute phase, and that's it. We're never going to use this until we hit 25% or less. Ambush, this is slotted here just for the Ambush and Blur are both slotted here for the increased critical rating. They're flexes. You can put different things in there if you want. Flawless Dawnbreaker on the front bar, and I have Incapacitating Strikes on the back bar. This is the ultimate that I'm using the most. It does a good bit of damage and causes the target to take 20% more damage for 6 seconds after using it. And if you cast it with 120 or more ultimate, it silences an enemy for 3 seconds, which that's going to be more useful in like PvP than it is going to be PvE in my opinion. But so be it. All of our class passives are filled out. Assassination, Shadow, and Siphoning, all passives are filled. All passives are filled in our 2-hand. All passives are filled in our bow. We have all passives in medium armor and the first 3 passives in heavy armor. All passives in our Fighters Guild. And all the passives in our Undaunted line. And racial passives are all filled in as well. And as always, at least 3 points in medicinal use, so you get a 100% uptime on your potions. I am using weapon power potions. Most people already know what that consists of, but if you don't, it is Lorkhan's Tears, Wormwood, Blessed Thistle, and Dragonthorn. And that gives you weapon damage, weapon critical, and stamina recovery, all for 47.6 seconds or something like that. And cooldown on a potion is only 45 seconds, so you can keep a 100% uptime on your potions if you're paying attention to when you need to hit them. Rotation is pretty simple. for the most part, static. Um, when we're running into a battle, we're going to uh, activate our relentless focus, and we're going to light attack endless hail, light attack dark shade, light attack barb's trap. We're going to swap bars, and then you'll see the little countdown on the little box itself on your heads up display. On PlayStation, I don't think it actually has a number that pops up like you'll see on mine, but the ability itself on your bar turns a different color and has a different look to it when the spectral bow is ready to be used. So we're basically gonna spam Wrecking Blow until this procs and use it, and then spam Wrecking Blow again until until we're close to needing to reapply Endless Hail, or until the Relentless Focus pops again. The servers on the test servers here have been a bit janky today, so I'm not always getting light attacks off. So in a perfect world, I would have a perfect rotation set up to where I know I'm going to hit my spectral bow at this point or that point, and it's going to be ready. It's just not like that on this server, unfortunately. So it makes this, that's about the most dynamic part of this, to be honest with you. So hope me vaping wasn't too loud in the mic there. Sorry if it was. But we're going to basically spam Wrecking Blow, hit our Relentless Focus when we can, and we're going to bar swap back to the front bar and apply Endless Hell right as it's falling off, or right before, right after, or right as it's falling off, just so the Endless Hail is 14 seconds, the Dark Shade is 20 seconds, the Barbed Trap, when activated, is 18 seconds. So once we throw these abilities down, we have about 12 seconds on that back bar to just spam Wrecking Blow and hit those spectral bows as often as we can. Now, once we get into execute phase, we're going to skip the Wrecking Blows and go with Executioner. So that's the only differences that you're going to see. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and do this parse. We're going to hit ultimates when they come up. Alright, so there that is. 35,654.2. Yes, that is not as high as some of the other builds that you see me put on here, and I understand that. I really do. You know what? Let's do this. Let me run through this one more time here. I shouldn't have been applying the fracture there. I should have let you guys. Not that I did a good job of keeping it up anyway. Alright, execute phase. Wow, so much lag. So much input lag. Alright, so there we go. That was actually a better parse, I do believe. It was 36,007. So yes, that is lower than what you're used to seeing. I completely understand that. But it's not Reliquins, it's not Perfected Reliquins, it's not Locistes, it's not Perfected Locistes, it's not Veladrith, it's not... You're looking at 3 sets that, in my opinion, are very, very easy to get. The Leviathan set out of Crypt of Hearts. That dungeon is on Vet simple. It really is, and not on. I mean, you don't have to run it on Vet. You could probably, most people might be even solo that on normal without a problem and be able to collect Leviathan very easily. The advancing Yakita, if you are even running normal trials, there's no difference between what you're going to get in the normal trial and the veteran trial other than gold jewelry. That is literally going to be the only difference. So, running running that dungeon and that trial both on normal still are going to provide you the same benefit. You're still going to be able to pick up the same gear that I'm using, other than the fact of the gold jewelry, which doesn't make that big of a deal. It really doesn't. Now, Stormfist. That's not a hard vet dungeon either. As long as you have people that just follow the mechanics on the last boss, because she can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. If she does that dashing around and can one-shot people if they're not paying attention. But if you understand that after she does the big ground AoE, she's more than likely going to fly at somebody. Me and my group, we normally, after she does the big ground AoE, we'll dodge, roll out, or walk out of the ground AoE. And then after it blows up, we'll all just block until she makes that dash, and afterwards it's no big deal. You blocked, you survived, and you got through it, and it makes that dungeon super easy. So these sets are easy to get. Now, when we look at combat metrics here, look at this. This is why it's Critical Warrior. 92% of the damage done was critical damage. Everything we did was critical damage. Not everything, but real darn close. Our critical damage percentage is at 109%. So we're more than double damage on all 92%, or almost 92% of the damage. Or, yeah, 92% of the damage we did was all double damage to begin with. So here's the big thing right here. See this? 3,117. I am so far below physical penetration cap that it's unbelievable. There is no tank providing fracture. Major or minor fracture is not being provided. There is no crushing glyph. There's no all-kosh. There's no no Olo or Spell Power Cure. There's no Combat Prayer. These are all things that you're going to run across when you're running with your normal group. At least you should be. And all of those, just having a tank alone is going to raise that DPS to over 40k, real close to it, if not over. Uh, if he's using a Crusher glyph and applying Crusher, if somebody is applying, minor vulnerability, if somebody is applying, if you have a healer that's using Combat Prayer, you're getting minor Berserker. If you have, there are just so many different ways that you can improve on that number. If you're running with a Dragonite tank, if he's using certain Dragonite abilities, it's going to raise you're going to get minor brutality, and I think it's brutality or savagery. Regardless, you're going to get 10% more weapon damage. So there are so many different ways to improve this, that this, solo with only 3,000 physical penetration, still hitting 36k. That's pretty good. Plain and simple. That's a lot of damage. And we're not using Reliquins, and we're not using Locistes. So in the right group, this is going to hit over 40k. Plain and simple. It really is. It's going to hit well over 40k. And you could probably get into the 50k range with it if you have, minor and major breaches being applied. If you have Combat Prayer on you, if you have major courage on you or minor courage on you, you can push this build in the right situation above 50k. With this build on the trial Atronach, I can hit 65, 66k. So it's a really good build. I like it. I love the fact that I'm just watching yellow numbers fly all over the place. Is it as good as Reliquins and Locistes? Absolutely not. Is it fun to play? Absolutely so. The amount of critical damage that you're doing with this is just really cool, and I love it. But that is all I got for you guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you stuck this out till the end, I appreciate it greatly. Oh, by the way, if you have Reliquins and Locistes, you can put those on with this build and probably hit, probably hit 40, 41k on this particular dummy, and maybe even 72 to 73k on the Atronach dummy. So if you have those gears and you have a Nightblade, this will work with that as well. I just wanted to showcase something that wasn't Locistes and wasn't Reliquins, and here it is. Good damage potential output, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that like button. I appreciate that greatly. And any questions or comments, you can definitely comment below. I'll answer them the best that I can. I am not the know-all when it comes to this, and I'll be the first one to admit it. But if I don't know the answer, I will find it for you, plain and simple. But I'm going to stop taking up your guys' time here. I appreciate anyone that has stuck it out to this point. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so and hit that bell notification so that you know when we upload new videos. But guys, thank you very much for tuning in, and happy adventuring.